Hello Autodesk people, and welcome back to the continuation of our tips and tricks on fabrication parts in Revit 2017. The last video, what we discussed was the ability to modify the tags so that they include the service abbreviation. So it's very clear when you document what your fabrication parts, what you're dealing with here. As you can see, I've got a 14-inch diameter hanger as well as a 14-inch diameter supply air ductwork here. Alright, so the next thing that we want to talk about, now that you've seen how we can add the service abbreviations, the next thing we want to talk about is, can you use Revit Schedules with ITMs? And the answer is simply, it's yes. So let's go ahead and explore how we can do that. Okay, so let's create a new ductwork schedule. Alright, so how do we do that? Let's go to the View ribbon. There's a schedule capability in that view ribbon under the Create panel. So I'll go create a new schedule, and I'll do a schedule quantities. Okay, so what I'm after here, let's define what I'm after. I want to know, for instance, maybe I can make a bill of materials of all my straights. I want all of my straights defined in this project. That's all I'm looking for. So let's take a look at how we can do that. Alright, so what we're looking for under the mechanical category, I want to do a schedule on MEP fabrication ductwork. Okay, and the name of the schedule is going to be Fabrication Straight Ducts. And then I would make another one called Fabrication Duct Fittings, or whatever. So I'll go ahead and make a new one, and I'll just go ahead and leave the schedule building components, and then by default the new construction, the phase is new construction. I'll go ahead and leave that. So what you're going to be faced with here is the schedule properties dialog box. Now it consists of 5 different tabs. We're going to eventually visit all of these and show you how that works. So from the fields, these are the available parameters that we can pull and make the table headers with, right? So maybe the first thing I want to know is the fitting description, right? So I'll go ahead and fabrication fitting description. I'll add that in. Maybe the next thing I want to know is the size, and this list is alphabetical, so I'll just skip down to size. Maybe the next thing I want to know is the length. So what's the diameter, or what's the rectangular size, and then how long is it? And then finally, maybe I want to know what service it is. So fabrication service is what I want. So I'll go ahead and hit fabrication service. I'll just hit fabrication service name. Okay, so let's take a look at what this will look like. You can always come back and start to manipulate these different fields. So I'll show you how to do that. So this list will automatically populate all of that information for me. So let me go ahead and expand these so we can see the numbers and whatnot. Alright, so here I can see I've got, it's kind of hard to see, guys, with my resolution. Unfortunately, I had to put it at this resolution for the recording of this video, but I'll kind of walk you through this. So the first thing that we want to look at is we want to modify it so that we get only the straights and the tubes. So when we're dealing with round ductwork, they're listed as tubes, and when we're dealing with the straights, they're called generic straights. Now this is all kind of jumbled up and out of order, and I don't really like that, so I want to add some sorting to this. Now when you're in a schedule and you're looking at it, remember those 5 fields that we were talking about inside of that dialog box? If I just click on any one of these in the properties palette, it brings that schedule properties right back up. So these fields correlate to these tabs. So just by clicking on any one of them, you'll get right into that field. Alright, so let's do the sorting. The first thing I want to sort by is the generic straights. So maybe the first thing I want to sort by is the fabrication fitting description. And then the next thing I want to sort by would be the length. Maybe the size first. Okay, so we've organized all of the straights together. We've organized all of the tubes together. What I don't want to see in this schedule, though, I want to filter these guys out. So the square bends, I want to filter those out. I want to filter anything that's not a straight and anything else out. All I want is the straights and the tubes. All right, so let's start the filtering process, okay? So in the properties, you can see that we've got the ability to filter. All right, let me show you how this filter works. I wish it was different because I think that it would make a lot of sense. And frankly, I don't really like the way it works, but we can get it to filter out these items. All right, so we can filter by the fabrication fitting description. It will contain the word straight. Let me make sure I spell that right, okay? And we can filter by the fabrication contains, the description contains tube. All right, so when I hit OK, you're going to see that my list totally disappears, and I had trouble figuring this out initially, but I realized what was happening here, okay? Let's go look at the filters one more time. So what this means is you're filtering out by the fitting description. It has to contain the word straight, and it also has to contain the word tube. Now, my list of that you saw here earlier before it was suddenly wiped away with a filter, none of them contain both the word straight and the word tube in the same field, okay? So what I mean by that, let me just remove these to none, to none. So none of them contained straight and tube in the same field. And what I mean by that is, so this says generic straight, but it doesn't say generic straight tube. This one says tube, but it doesn't say straight tube, okay? So that's why it's filtering them out. Now, what I think it ought to be when we look at the filters, it should be that it contains straight. Did I misspell it? I did. It contains the word straight, or the field could contain the word tube. So if it contains either of them, I want it to be able to remain listed, but unfortunately the only option is and. And I don't know if the development group has any plans to make any additional tweaks to this, or I don't know. But the workaround, it's actually, I don't know why it's like this, but I'll just go ahead and leave the filter as straight for now. Okay, it only lists each individual straight that I have here, and it's itemizing every piece. Okay, so the next thing I want to look at is, okay, look, I've got these fittings, and I've got all these different, almost all of them are the standard straight length. So how do we sort these in a way that it would give me a quantity? All right, so let's do that. Let's add a new field. I want to add a field called count, and I'll go ahead and bring that in, and I'll put it at the top. So I'll just push it up to the top, and when you put it at the top, it's the furthest on the left when you look at it in this field here. So a couple things I might want to do. Let's just for this whole thing here, let's just go ahead and align it so that it's center. And let's align this so that it's also center. Okay, let's do the center alignment. Okay, there we go. Now that we've got that, it was bugging me. Sorry guys, it was bugging me. And we want a quantity for all of these that are the same size and that they're the same length. Okay, so here's how we'll do that. I will do a sorting, and I'm going to add one additional layer here, so the length. And I'll hit OK. So now that we see that all of the lengths, all of the sizes and the lengths are obeyed, I want to take and change one quick thing here. I want to go to the formatting. The sorting and grouping, and I want to take this itemize every instance. I want to take that off, and I'll hit OK. So what that just did was, for every instance of this generic straight that's 24 inches by 12, that's 4 foot 11 inches, it gave me a total count of each one of these. As a matter of fact, I'm going to change this header, and I'm going to call it quantity instead of count. It makes more sense. And for fabrication fitting, I'm going to modify it so that it just says fitting description. I'll leave the size and I'll leave the length as is. And now we're getting closer and closer to what I really want. However, I still have the problem of the filtering, because if I go in here and look at the filter, it's either or, the straight or the tube, but I can't get them both in here for some reason, and I don't like that. So how do I combine it so I get both the straight and the tube? Whether it's rectangular or round doesn't matter to me. I just want them all the straights listed. So how do we do that? And the way that we're going to do that is we're going to introduce another field. We're going to bring in the comment field into this fabrication ductwork. Okay, so you'll see that we've got comments here, and what I'll do is I'll highlight one of these and I'll say this is a straight duct, and I'll hit enter right into the comment field here. I just went ahead and added that in there, straight duct. So each one of these fields, guys, let me zoom in and get in a little tighter. It's hard to see on this crazy resolution, but I'll get into each one of these fields and I'll go straight duct, straight duct, straight duct. I'll add that into each one of these line items. And I'm going to do the same for my other filter here. So I'll go ahead and go to the filter, and I'll edit this filter. And this time it's going to say straight. Now this is the fabrication fitting description that I'm filtering. So I'll hit OK, and I'll go look at that. Now none of these have comments in here, right? So I can simply just go in here and click on the little pull down and activate that comment and call it straight duct. Alright, so let's go ahead and add the straight duct in here to each of these. And I'm clicking too fast on some of these guys. That's why I'm getting the little circle here. And let's continue with all of these. Let's go grab the straight ducts here. Alright, so I'm still only filtering by straight or by tubes, right? But what I'll do next is I'm going to change the filter, and I'll remove it in its entirety. I'll just go ahead and hit none. And you can see now that I've got all of my straight, my generic straight, and all of my tubes, and they have a comment which says straight duct, but none of the others do. So this time I'll filter by using that comment. So from comments, it has to equal straight duct. Okay, I'll hit OK. So now I've got both my generic straights and my tubes, but I don't necessarily need to see the comments. So what I'll do is I'll go to the, I think it's the Appearance tab. Where are you? Oh, it's the Formatting tab. My mistake. I'll click on Comments, and I'll make this a hidden field, which means that you will still be using this field for the schedule, but you're not going to see it listed So I'll hit OK here. So what I've just done is I've filtered everything out that I really want to see. I want to see the quantity. I want to see the filter description. I want to see the size. And oh, it looks like I'm missing a field here. I wanted to see the fabrication name, the service name. So I'll add that in here at the end, and I'll place the comments at the bottom here. So this will tell me what system it's on, whether it's supply error, return error, or whatever that is. It's just useful information as I'm going through and making a bill of materials here. So I really like this method of making this, and let's go ahead and document this and put this on a sheet. All right, so currently I'm looking at all these different views, and I've got schedules called Fabrication Straight Duct, and let's go make a new sheet. So it's pretty simple. Click on the sheet category. If you right click, you get this little pop-up, and I want to make a new sheet. So I can load from all of my company's standard title blocks, wherever you manage to save those. You can make them and have them readily available. I'll use an A size so I can print this up on a 8.5 by 11 inch piece of paper, and then I'll go ahead and bring that in as a new sheet. So this is called E103 and it's unnamed. Now if I come in here and change it to bill of materials straight ductwork. So now I've got the description. Now not only did I change it here, but it also changed down here as it used to. Oh, excuse me, hiccup. It used to say E103 unnamed, but because I've given it a name now, it's got all that information. So what I want to do now is I want to click and drag the fabrication duct straight ducts onto this project, and I can go ahead and just drop it in. And what I like about the schedule is you can pull on the grips here at the column headers and kind of change how that looks. So I'll just squeeze some of these in so that it fits within this title block. Right, pretty easy. And I don't like the formatting though. It looks like kind of robotic, and I want to see it a little bit different, more like my company standard. So what I'll do is I will make some new. The way this works is we can go to the Appearance tab, okay? And you have different text types that you can apply to the title, the header, and the body. So let's make 3 new text types, and I'll show you how we can modify the capabilities here. So let's go look at our bill of materials. What do I want to do here? Yeah, let's go to our annotation, and let's go to the text panel. Now you've got these different text tools, but if you click on this little guy down here, the rollout, it's called text types. So we can modify the text types, okay? And what I want to do is I want to take a look at this 3:30 seconds aerial, and I want to duplicate it. So the first one I want to make is going to be the title. So this is going to be 1/4 inch Calibri for my text type, okay? So I'll tell it that I'm looking at the size of text is going to be 1/4 inch, and the font is going to be my Calibri. I'll go ahead and select that. Now this is going to be bold, okay? And then I'll hit OK. Now I'll get back in there, and I'm going to make another one called, let's see, I want a 1/4 inch, and then I want 3/16 Calibri. That's also going to be bold. So I'll duplicate this. I'll do 3/16 Calibri, and I'll change so I'll leave it as Calibri. I'll change it to 3/16, and I'll leave it checked for bold. So I'll hit OK, and then finally I'll do my body, which is going to be even smaller and not bold. I'll duplicate this one. This will be 1/8 inch Calibri. Oh, I already have the inch mark there. I don't want to duplicate the inch mark. Okay, and I'll change this guy to 1/8 inch, and I'll take the bold off, and I'll hit OK. All right, so let's go to our fabrication straight ducts schedule. Let's go to the appearance tab, and I want to change that to 1/8 inch Calibri. The header I want to change to 3/16, and the body I want to change to 1/8, and I'll hit OK. So all that takes into effect, and then I go back to my bill of material sheets, and you'll see that that has also been changed as well. Oh, my title. I must have chosen the wrong one for the title. I think I did. Let me go back in there and change that. So appearance, and for the title, yeah, I changed it to 1/8 inch. I meant 1/4 inch. There we go. And let's look at that in my bill of materials straight ductwork. All right, so at this point, I just want to make sure everything fits properly. So I'll just kind of squeeze these out and make sure that we've got all that taken care of. So for this one, the service name, I'll just kind of push this out so it fits within. Now, I like this a lot because this is automatically generated. Now, there's some very interesting things that you can do with schedules to help you with your fabrication detailing, all right? This is the final tip I'll give you guys, and it's centered around conditional statements, okay? Check this out. I will make a conditional statement that says every time I have a duct that's shorter than 1 foot, I want it to highlight that value here, red, in this particular view. All right, let me show you how that will work. So let's get to a plan view. I think I have one open here. Yeah, here I have one open. So I'm going to stretch this guy so that it's about 10 feet 7 inches or something like that. So the length will be 10 feet 7 inches, 7.25, whatever. Doesn't have to be exact, but I just want something that's longer than 10 feet. Now what I'll do here is I'll optimize the lengths, and you'll see that I have a tiny short segment there that's currently 6 7/8 of an inch, okay? So the reason I did that was I wanted to grab just anyone, and this is going to have a comment called straight duct, okay? And I'll go look at my schedule one more time, the fabrication schedule. And what I'm looking for here is that straight duct, the tube, that is that particular size. And I can see it here in this line item, 14-inch ductwork, 6 7/8. So what I want is, if it's less than 1 foot in length, I want to be able to automatically find that in this schedule. So what I'll do next is I'll go to formatting, and I'll click on length, okay? And I want to add a conditional format. If the length is less than 1 foot, show it to me as a red line item, okay? So what that does is it highlights anything that's of this particular length, and it shows it to me in red, okay? Now here's the beauty about this. I want to go look at that plan view that we were just at, okay? And I want to tile these views together along with the schedule. So let's tile these two views. Oh, I got some sort of weirdness happening here. Let me minimize this guy. Bring this guy up. And I want to maximize this guy and bring this guy in. All right, so let's tile these two together. So the way this works, the way you would want to use this is, let's say that you're trying to figure out, okay, what about this guy? Where is it? So if you click on it, you will see it highlight automatically. So here we have a chance to eliminate these small runs of ductwork, okay? And if I click on it, you'll see that it gets highlighted. And in the plan view, I've got the reposition part. And this is the way that you deal with it. You click on the reposition part. The idea here is that we want to manufacture as many straight pieces as possible that are the standard length. If we have to cut something or make something that's not the standard length, that has to go from a coil line to a plasma table. And it adds a lot of additional material and labor. So what we can do, there are occasions where we could flip this and add this to the elbows. In this case, it's not going to work for the round elbow, but for things like mitered elbows, let's do this. Let's do this. I'm going to change the length of this guy to like 6 inches. Let's change that to like 6 inches. Okay. If we had found it in the list here it is. It'll highlight here. Now I can switch this guy over to the other end, and then with that elbow I can absorb that short segment, and it clears out of the schedule as well as adds it to the throat. So instead of having two pieces where it's an elbow and a short piece of ductwork, now it's all just one ductwork, and the manufacturing of this takes a lot less labor, a lot less materials, and a lot less time to create, right? So the conditional formatting, you can leverage this as part of your detailing process with bill of materials and schedules. Anytime you see red, you want to go pay attention to that kind of thing. Maybe there's an opportunity to eliminate conditions there, right? So maybe there's an opportunity to eliminate a short segment of duct and add that to the throat of an elbow of some sort. So be on the lookout for opportunities like that. What you're seeing here is the capability to leverage not just the building information model, but you're able to think outside the BIM and get some information that's relevant to the design work that you're creating, right? So that's one way that we can leverage the schedules using conditional formats. And I like the way that this looks, this particular schedule. I do have to warn you guys though, the schedules are limited to whatever the parameters that are available to you. That's the schedule. That's just the nature of how schedules work in Revit. You only have the parameters of those ITMs. Now, we discussed in an earlier video on adding tags to hangers. Well, some of those ITMs don't have all of the parameters readily available, so you can use this. So I would encourage you to do this in the Revit environment. And if and when you can't, you can always take this information, ITMs, back to Fabrication Academy P. And I think that the reporting tool in Fabrication Academy P is a little more robust than what you're seeing as the schedule tool here in Revit. So I'm going to encourage you to do as much as you can here in the Revit environment, but if and when you can't, go back to Fabrication Academy P, use the reporting tool, and get the schedules that you need and the bill of materials that are necessary for the work that you're going to provide. Okay guys, this concludes the technical portion of the tips and tricks on schedules with the ITMs specific to the fabrication parts in Revit 2017. This also concludes the videos and topics for this series, and I welcome you to join us on upcoming series. I've got another one coming up specifically on hangers with sloped piping. That'll be posted up to YouTube here pretty soon. And thank you for joining me. I appreciate your time and attention. I hope you've learned quite a bit about what we can do with fabrication parts in the Revit environment and some of the limitations. You know, sometimes knowing the limitations is just as important as understanding what to do and how to go about doing it. So we'll see you on that next video series.